You are listening to the Love Unplugged podcast, episode 11. Today's episode is all about my guest's love story and their new journey into parenthood. They share how they met, Colin's proposal, which is one of the best proposal stories I've ever heard, how they run a very large, successful business together, but also how they balance making time for their relationship, their new little family, and taking the time for themselves individually. I just love this wonderfully kind couple and loved learning all about their story and can't wait for you guys to hear it also. You are listening to Love Unplugged, a podcast focused on love in all its forms. I'm your host, Jessica Frigon, hopeful romantic and founder of Revue Blanc. I've found that too often love is set aside or taken for granted, and we tend to forget how to care for ourselves and our relationships in the day-to-day chaos. So let's slow down, tune in, and begin our journey of rediscovering love. From honest heart-to-heart conversations with real couples and knowledgeable guests, to deep dive reviews of new products and services that will help you feel beautiful inside and out. If you're looking for relatable advice or wanting to be inspired by real-life love stories, you've come to the right place. Without further ado, let's get to it. Hi, everybody. I am here with Nadia and Colin Bullock, entrepreneurs, founders of Musos Entertainment, and more importantly, a lovely couple who just welcomed a new bundle of joy about a month ago.
Yeah.
Yes. Today, we're going to learn all about your love story, how you balance work, a relationship, and now a newborn baby, which is a lot. So welcome, Nadia and Colin.
Hi.
I'm so honored to have you guys as guests, and I'm so excited to learn all about your love story. So before we start, for those that don't know you yet, would you be able to share just a little bit about yourselves?
Yeah. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks so much. We're excited.
Here. Great. I'm Nadia. Yeah.
And I'm Colin.
And we got married in 2014. So it's been a few years. And, we live here in North Vancouver. I'm from Burnaby originally, Burnaby-Coquitlam border. I grew up here. And then when I was 19, I went and traveled around for a few years. Worked at Disney World, went to Europe for a few years to live, and then came back and started working at the Pacific Rim, and that's where I met Colin.
Yeah, my name's Colin. I'm a musician. I'm from Australia. I moved to Canada in 2008, and shortly after moving to Canada, I met Nadia, and the rest we'll delve into in a little bit. So that's us.
Okay, so you guys met at the Pacific Rim. So how did this happen exactly?
Yeah,
we'll give you the short version.
I was playing music in the lobby lounge.
I love the lounge.
I guess one of the first people to play music there. And Nadia was actually on the opening team at the film at Pacific Rim, and she was working on the front desk. And at the Pacific Rim, where you play music is in the lounge, and it's kind of, you can see the front desk from where you play, from where you're sitting on the stage. So as soon as I walked in, Nadia caught my eye, and I'd been playing there for a couple of weeks before we ever really even talked. But there was one day where
a mutual friend who was the concierge. Yeah, and he kind of was like, he kind of played a prank on us, actually. So it was kind of a joke the way we met, but turned out to be married. So that worked. The joke
played a prank on you guys.
Yeah, I guess because he was concierge and Nadia was on the front desk, and they used to play a lot of jokes on each other and stuff. And I guess Nadia was kind of
it's air friendly for the hotel, because we were really good employees as well. But once in a while, we'd play a few jokes on each other while we were working.
Yeah. So Nadia was kind of into one of the songs I was playing one day. It was kind of singing along while she was working, and then I guess the concierge saw and just kind of said I think you like the musician. Just kind of played a bit of a joke on her, and he said I'm gonna go over there and ask if he's single for you, kind of thing. So he kind of came over
without even me knowing at the time, and he just kind of kept saying I'm going to go over, and I was like, I don't even know who this is. And I'm just singing a song. Yeah, I was I just love Coldplay. It was Coldplay, and I love Coldplay. So I was like, this is just me like singing and dancing to a song. So just leave me alone.
So I'm over there like halfway through a song, and then I have that concierge like standing like right like over my shoulder, and he's just trying to get my attention. I'm like fully into a song, like, so like just step back from the microphone. I continue to play the song. He's like, "Mate, are you single?" He's a UK guy from the UK. "You single, mate?" And I was like, "Well, that depends who's asking." He's like being like, like.
You're not sure who's asking at the time.
When like big guy, like, "Oh, I don't know, mate. Who's asking this?" And then I said, "Yeah, but yeah, yes, I am." And then I saw him kind of like then like walk off, and I was kind of laughing. Still playing the song. Like all this happens like while I'm halfway through a song. I was just kind of watching where he goes because I'm just curious.
Who's he going to tell now?
And then he went to the front desk, but I didn't really see from there like who he really spoke to or went to after that. And so I got through the gig 3 hours later, and I wasn't really thinking too much of it. And then I went over to when you finish your gig, you got to go get a pass to get out of the car park, and you have to go to the front desk to ask for this pass. So.
And he comes over and he's like, "She would love to help you with that." And I was like, "Oh, really? Like, I would love to help you. And yet there's 5 other people standing here, but you guys all put it on me." And then the other girl was like, "Yep, she would love to." And I was like, "Oh, you're in this as well. Okay, great. So now it's just a pick on Nadia day." But yeah, so then I was like, "Well, I'll get you your parking pass, which is over here." And then I guess that made it seem like it was me who was asking, and then he's like, "Oh, so this must be her."
I'm thinking like, "Oh, she really likes me," because everybody's like in on this joke.
And I'm
like,
just
really like she didn't really
have no idea really
with it. So I'm just like super confident at this point. Just thinking
I'm like, this is awkward.
This gig, like she's just like my music, like she's interested. So I'm like fully confident, have no like reservations. So I'm kind of acting like beyond my capabilities, really. Like I'm just talking to her like, "Yeah, how's it going?" Like, and then we struck up a conversation. But then at that point, it wasn't like, I feel like it was a really cool, genuine conversation we had. And then by coincidence, we both happened to be in Whistler like that following weekend. And so we planned up to meet, and the rest was history.
That was kind of that from there. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It was,
Then you added me to Facebook first.
No, she added me.
No, I think you pretty sure I have it as a memory, so you added it to Facebook.
I'm pretty sure it's
And now I think we can with that memory thing. We really have to end this debate. It's been a few years.
It's awesome.
But you did add me to
Facebook. You're not going to win.
No.
So let's talk about the proposal. Everybody loves the proposal story. So who proposed? How did you do it?
This is another, you want the long version or short version, but we'll try to keep it short. This was, I think you knocked it out of the park. I will say that.
I'm pretty proud of it, so I'll tell the story. So like,
going to the Whistler.
Part of that Whistler, when I mentioned that we were going to be in Whistler that next weekend. So that was kind of like the
the meeting. This is the meeting part.
Yeah. When we first met, we went to Whistler that weekend, and that weekend, like, series of events happened that were like really cool and like
unique.
And it was kind of like, unique and kind of cool. We both kind of like connected, like, for the first time ever. So really and then three years later, I wanted to kind of like recreate like that first weekend that we kind of got together.
Well, I think like what happened during the weekend was like it snowed, and like we were going to go for a walk, and then it was like there was a surprise umbrella that was just standing there. Like no one put it there. We just randomly fell upon this umbrella, and it was like raining and snowing. So we like went for a walk in the umbrella, and then like where we went for a walk, we accidentally went out this like side door. We didn't know where it was going. And then it led to like the top of the hotel. So we sat there. So it was kind of like, I think that's what you mean by like the series of events, like what kind of happened where. Mm-hmm. It was very like, just kind of like this random night that turned into like us going for a walk in the snow, into like this bunch of random series of events that kind of, we had no idea how it really kind of came about.
Yeah, so I wanted to kind of recreate the whole thing. So I basically, I pretended like I was going to Whistler to do an event, and then usually Nadia would come up to Whistler like with me, but at this time she was working downtown, and so I said, "You come up come up to Whistler like this weekend, because it was on a Friday, I think. After you finish work on Friday, I bought her a bus ticket so she could come up, and I said, like, come up, and then like we'll stay at the hotel, and I'm playing over the weekend at the hotel, so you can come up and we stay there when we play there. So come up and stay, and so I planned this whole thing where I'd got the ring, and I'd planned to have the series of event kind of take place on how we met, or how that first weekend went when we first got together. So basically, she came up, and I told her that there was this like really cool event happening, like, and she was always really into decor and things. So I was like, oh, and the decor is amazing. Like, you just got to come up and have a quick look at it, because like
all the pretty things,
and it's on the rooftop of the hotel. It's beautiful, like, just, and she's like, I don't want to go up there. There's like people and stuff up there, like at the event. Like, I don't want to come up. And now I'm like, I can sneak you in the side door. You can just have a look at the decor, and then you can go, and I can meet you in the room later after I finish playing this event. So she's like, okay, whatever. So she comes up.
As long as no one sees me, I just want to look at the like decor and stuff. But I'm in casual clothes, and it's like supposed to be this corporate event. So I'm like, I'm not coming there.
So she comes in, and basically I take her to this like side door where there's an elevator. And
where we went for the walk the first night.
This is where we went for the walk the first weekend that we met. And then, so there's 3 levels on this elevator to get to the rooftop terrace. So I get in the elevator with her, and then I press like all of the floors.
So you have to stop
like
at every
Elf
single
on
one.
Christmas.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
what are you doing?
Christmas movie,
like,
Elf. When he goes in and presses like all the elevator, I was like, aren't we just going to the floor 4? Like, why are you pressing all of the buttons?
So I press all the buttons, and then the elevator goes up to the first floor, and it opens up, and there's like 2 umbrellas like sitting there with like candles around them. And like that was kind of to symbolize like this moment where we found like 2 umbrellas like randomly, and she thought I'd planned the whole thing in the first weekend when I had these 2 umbrellas sitting there. That it was just a random thing that happened. So that was just to symbolize that. And then the second floor went up, and then I'd organized my friend who was playing in the lounge that night to come and be standing there and start playing a song.
Which was the song
which was the song Coldplay Yellow, which was the one that we kind of like, that she was singing at the time.
Sung me the first night.
Yeah.
That we met.
So he comes in, and he's playing like Coldplay Yellow. He gets in the elevator and just doesn't say anything.
There's no one in there but us. And it's a really small elevator. And I was like, oh, you can stop singing. It's okay. It's okay. Stop. And he just kept going. And I was like,
she got the giggles at that time.
I get giddy when like I get nervous or like really embarrassed. So I was just like giggling, being like, you can stop. It's okay. It's okay. You can stop. And he just kept going and going. And I'm like, where is this next floor? Like, can this come any faster? At this point, I was like, I think I have an idea of what's going on.
Yeah. And then we get up to the next floor, and I kind of made this like whole like trail of like candle lights that go like that lead out onto this like rooftop terrace. And I told Scott, my friend that plays music, to like follow us until we get to a certain point, and then he could kind of just fade off and disappear kind of thing. So he did that. It was super cool. And then we're walking along this like trail of like candle lights, and we come to this, they have a chapel, like this little like chapel upstairs where people get married. And I'd set up this whole like dinner in there, like champagne dinner with like 2 of these items from the Fairmont Chateau that we used to love, and they were like taken off the menu for a couple of years. And like we'd always talk about like, why did they take them off the menu? It was like the dim sum and the cob salad that we really used to like eat all the time there. So I ordered those especially and had them all there, and then I did the proposal there.
Yeah, I was like, as soon as we got there, I was like, I hope he does it right now, because if he waits till after dinner, this is going to be one awkward dinner. Could you imagine? Just get on your knee right now, because otherwise this is going to be a long conversation before dinner. So sure enough, he goes down right away. I was like, okay, this is perfect. Now we can like celebrate and like have a different conversation during dinner, because it would be,
So she said yes, and then I said, and then at the end of the dinner, I said, and we're actually really not staying up here this weekend. Like, we're going to Hawaii tomorrow for 4 days. And we went to Hawaii and we stayed there for 4 days to celebrate.
Holy crap.
Yeah. I think it was pretty amazing.
That's like epic.
Yeah, it was so good.
Good job.
Probably the best weekend of our life.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. And then we got to the airport. This is like a pretty side story, because like I just talked myself up, but we got to the airport the next day.
Yeah,
and like I was so nervous when I booked the whole tickets. I'd actually booked the Hawaii tickets for the day before. So we get there to the airport and we're like so excited to get on the plane.
I was like checking in, showing off my ring. I was like, oh my God, we just got engaged and like we're going to go to Hawaii in like a couple hours here. And she was like, okay, like I'm all giddy and excited. And she's like, Kate, passports, please. Takes out the passports and looks at Colin and was like, is this a surprise? And I'm like, yeah, it just happened like a few hours ago. Because at this point it was like midnight and we had gone at like 5 a.m. So we had like just a few hours to go. And she was like, I don't see you on the flight, sir. Can I see your confirmation number? So he's like, yeah, it's here. Look at my email. And she's like, oh, okay. So you booked the flight for yesterday.
Got the dates totally mixed up.
And we're like standing there and I was like, okay. And he's like, so what does that mean? Like, what does that mean? And I was like, well, that means that we're not on this flight. So she was like, let me just give a call to my manager, and like calls the manager, and like she's standing right in front of us smiling like, hello. So I had this lovely couple. They just got engaged, but the gentleman surprised and booked the flight for yesterday and was like, yeah, I know, but they're right in front of me. So who knows what she was saying on the other end, but we were standing there very hopeful. And sure enough, huge shout out to WestJet, because they were like, you know what, we'll surprise, or this is a gift from us for your engagement. We'll put you on the next flight, which is in an hour and a half. Go right now through security and you'll get on the next flight free of charge. And we got on there. They had a huge shout out for us with champagne. And we were in like not first class, but the
business class.
Yeah, the economy plus or whatever. And they like gave us iPads and we were just like, this is amazing. So it ended up working out great.
Wow.
Yeah. They were so sweet.
That's amazing.
So kind of lucky.
Very fortunate.
Lucky, yeah.
But it all worked out. That's amazing. That's one of the best stories I've heard. Definitely. So now I know you guys are in the wedding industry. Mm-hmm. So I want to hear about your wedding. So what do you guys remember most from it?
Yeah, I think I'm not a wedding planner, but we are heavily involved in the wedding industry for planning the music side of things, not necessarily all the other things. But man, you really value wedding planning before you go into this, because I'm like, okay, I got this, I can do it. And so I think the main thing for us, like when we were planning, was like, how can we be the best hosts of like family, friends, and a really good party, and something that's like so memorable to us, but also to like everyone involved. And we just wanted it to be like what a natural kind of party at our house would be, but a little bit obviously more, a little bit more elegant than just house party.
Mm-hmm. We kind of wanted to have like everybody feel that it was more like about like they could like feel the connection between me and Nadia. So we tried to like kind of personalize like nearly everything like to do with the wedding that has to do with us. Like we tried to kind of steer away from too much anything kind of genetic. We try to just tell a story with every like little piece we put together for it. So, and
it was also like for us to like, that was what we wanted for the day, like even for them to experience, but also for us to experience that. Like we have been to so many weddings, we play so many weddings, we've, planned so many weddings. So it's more about making sure that like that day is not just like a day that felt like just another wedding, but really made us feel like our day. So yeah, we did quite a few personal like things. We are huge travelers. So we kind of did like the seating charts where we've been to, and then kind of wrote a little story and had a photo about it, just so everyone kind of felt involved. And like, when you're dealing with family from outside, like the country, and we had probably like 70% of people were from out of town, not just from one area, but from like Europe and America and Australia, and like 4 of my bridesmaids, I only had 4, and 3 of them, were from out of town.
Oh, wow.
So it's kind of like when you're dealing with people that are so far away as well, they don't get to spend time in your daily life and get to know you guys as a couple in your day to day. So it was really important for us to like make sure that everyone felt like they had known us for the past 5 years as well. So I think the most important part for my day and memorable is more about the feeling that it had throughout the day through these personalized experiences. And one of them in the end was like, of course, like the fact that you get married, like that moment is like, oh my gosh, like I'm married now, like that whole, like the vows and that's like one of the most memorable moments. And also at the very end, we got one of our friends who's a wedding planner said, if there's any advice I can give you for the day, is just to take like 5 to 10 minutes on your own, just at any time of the day. And if it's not 10 minutes, like even just like a walk around the venue or something. And so we really wanted to make that a part of our day. And we had a spectacular sunset that night. Like it was the craziest one of the most craziest sunsets I've seen. And we've seen a lot of sunsets. And so we were eating dinner. Our photographer ran up to us and was like, get outside right now. And at the time, like, of course, I haven't eaten all day. And I was starving. I was shaking. And Colin was like, okay, well, we don't even have our food yet. And he was like, get outside right now. You'll never regret this, right? And I was like, I'm shaking. I don't even think I can stand up right now. Like, I just need like 2 bites of my dinner and then I'll come. And he's like, right now. We're like, okay.
Yeah, because I planned on, I had some Chinese lanterns that I was like surprising Nadia with that I'd bought. And I had this idea of like a sunset where we would kind of like release these lanterns and then our photographer would kind of capture it as well.
And he never really knew when, but when he saw this light, he was like, this is the moment. Like, yeah. So he like bolted us outside and it was just this like orange, blue, purple, like the sunset. We have a photo of it there actually. And it was just like amazing. And then, Colin surprised us with this lantern and we got to light it together. And then we like made a wish and we sent it off. So like that moment I think was like really special for us because as much as I loved the whole day with everyone, it's just like that one moment of like together that we're like, oh, we can breathe. We're a husband and wife, like stepping away from it all. And that's the photo there. Yeah.
I think, just that, like, that was something we both really remember, like being away, like alone and like just reflecting on the day and just that you can get caught up with everything. Like you're talking to every single person on the day, like people you haven't seen there in so long and conversations. And it's just
and you forget to talk to each other sometimes. You're like, where is my husband? Like, you
get pulled in every direction and like you try to stay together as much as possible, obviously. And that was a big thing for us. It's like, no matter what, like we kind of walk around the venue, we meet everyone together. Like we don't go our separate ways. Because, I mean, it's fine, but then you can get just like
lost.
It's hard to like, you get stuck getting in a conversation with somebody and then you have to kind of finish it.
We kind of had like,
we had like
100, 120, 130.
Yeah.
We kind of had it like, not like a rule, but like something in our minds that we wanted to be very like mindful of is like, okay, if we're longer than like 10 to 15 minutes away from each other, let's find each other. Just so that like, if we get lost somewhere, like we can just kind of come back, have a little quick, like, hey, like check in, like even not just a check in, but like, oh, like, hey, this person wants to talk. Cause sometimes they want to talk to you together, but you're always separate too. So we just kind of made it mindful to be like, hey, if we lose each other for more than like, 15, however long it was, like, let's just kind of even just spot each other. Like, you good. So I think that was really, really cool. So we could really stay present together throughout our day. And and that was the most memorable thing for me.
It's so easy to get caught up in the chaos and everything that's happening and getting pulled in all those directions. So to really be mindful of like what's really important and what you guys really want to focus on that day.
Exactly.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah.
Another one really cool like kind of thing we had just quickly, on our invitations, we had a CD. We made a CD.
Oh yeah.
Our whole invitation was basically like an album cover. And like inside was a CD and we'd gone into like studio and we'd recorded all these like, we put all these like short playlists of like 10 songs and then each 10 songs had like something to do with our lives. So in between the songs, like we'd gone into like a studio and recorded like a little bit of a story and we put together this whole CD that was like meant to be played by the time people left the cathedral downtown and arrived at Burnaby Riverway Golf Clubhouse where we got married. That was a good like half an hour, 35-minute drive, depending on traffic. So we planned the CD to be like put into their cars.
So we called it the soundtrack to our day. And so they had to listen to it on the way. And then they got, again, people who weren't too familiar with us, they could learn all about our story and stuff. So
that's a really nice touch. I like that.
Yeah. It's our invitations.
Wow, that's very unique. I haven't seen that yet. So I think that's super awesome.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this business that you have together now. This was created together or did you join his company?
No,
it was definitely created together. It was mostly, it was almost like Nadia's kind of idea from the beginning. I was playing like a lot and I was playing like most nights and that was a bit of a challenge in the beginning of our relationship is that I was out of town a lot play music, and Nadia was working in town. And as I got busier as a musician and things, and I was kind of got to a point where I was like, man, what else am I going to do with my life? I have so much time during the day. I play at night. What else am I going to do? And I was kind of thinking what to do and things like, maybe I could become a postman. Yeah, they've got great benefits and like, that's a good job.
And I just listen to music all day and do the mail. So I'll exercise and listen to music all day. I was like, I don't know if you want to be a postman.
I realized
we'll support you and whatever.
Australians couldn't like get a job at Canada Post. You had to be like a full-on
Canadian
resident at the time. I wasn't. So I was like, that goes that idea. And
we found quite a few interesting jobs that you could have applied for at the time.
It was like this quarter life crisis that I was going through, and then
I was like really into like business, and I was going to business school at the time and like self-development and stuff. So I kept kind of being like, well, let's just sit down and like write your skill sets out and like let's kind of think about that, or what do you love to do, and what, like, I don't know, I'm trying to like help him like figure this out, even though I have no idea what it was going to be. So then we decided, well, we really, really, really love traveling. So he was going away a lot and he's like, just come on the road. Like I have to go away for like 2 months. I'm like, I can't just like leave for months and months on end. And he's like, well, we need to figure out something that you're going to be able to come with me, like on the road, or I need to stop playing like so much. So we were like, well, you know, we're huge believers in like following your passion and like, kind of just loving what, you know, you want to love what you do every day. So we were like, okay, how do we kind of combine this together? And I'm a hairstylist by trade as well. So I was doing a lot of weddings, wedding hair at the time. So Colin was playing music for weddings, and I have a like hair and makeup team kind of that we do a lot of weddings for. So at the time I was offering my services to his clients, and he would offer my services to his clients, and vice versa. So we started putting together this package of like music and hair, and we do a lot of destinations, and that was a way of us to like travel and also do what we love to do and also be together. So we were like, oh, this is great. And then the first year, we just got so busy with it. And then we started booking for the following year. And all of a sudden we started to realize that we had to start saying no to like couples. And we were like, oh, we don't want to say no. And just, you know, working through some of the companies like Disney and Fairmont and stuff, like their huge thing is like, you never say no to someone, like you have to offer an alternative. And so that really stuck with me. Like when I was saying, I didn't want to say no to these brides, I was like, who else do I know? Like starting to kind of find peers within the industry to send these, to recommend. So, you know, the bride isn't just lost and you're like, no, sorry, go on. So, and the same with music. So we started trying to reach out to like a few different people in our industries for both hair and music. And then at that time, Colin we were looking at doing a new album. So we were like, well, why don't we look at getting like a grant and stuff and maybe going on the road a bit. And he's like, I was like, well, what do you want to do with your music? And what about this? And what about that? And he's like, why don't you just take on my management? Like, I don't like doing that side of things. And I love that, like just organizing and kind of business side. And I was like, yeah, that'll be fun. So we went on tour that year. We put together like a Canadian tour. We went on tour for his music. And then that's when, I guess just not momentum, but kind of a bit more of a demand kind of came in with people starting to reach out for bookings, and also our time, like the availability was getting so limited. So we were like, okay, there might be an option here to like put together a little bit of a collective agency kind of type thing, because we were starting to recommend people, and we were noticing that like no one else was really doing that at the time. And Colin was playing a lot at the Fairmont or the Chateau in Whistler. Mm-hmm. And they kind of came up to us and was like, we're not happy with the management that we have now for music. Is there any chance you guys would look at doing management for us? And we were like, oh my gosh, this is such a big opportunity. Like we're not agents. We're not doing that. We're just doing it for ourselves kind of. And we kind of went for dinner that night, and I was like, well, you were looking at something to do like daytime, and we're looking for some, like, you know, we're doing this already with management and bookings ourselves. So what if we just put it together, like put together a music management program? And at the time he was kind of with one already, like within the city. And we were kind of looking at things that we kind of like liked about it, how to be different. And, you know, just kind of did market research on what was out there already and how we could be different and how we can kind of come up with an artist friendly version of it, because we are artists ourselves. And we went for dinner and we just took a pen and paper or a pen and a napkin, like at the dinner table, and just started write like pros and cons of like things we liked and didn't like and how we wanted to like present ourselves within this business and if it was something we were going to do. And and how to like help artists. So the biggest thing is like, okay, so you're a musician, you want to get gigs. How are you going to find that? Like, so we can be this platform of sharing music, helping local artists, being a part of the community, saving like bride and grooms and planners and venues all this time. So this is like a match made in heaven for someone because they can come to us. We can have a collection of local artists and you can support so many different people all at once and make everyone happy at the same time. So that's kind of what the mission was behind it. And we put together a business plan and that was where Musos Entertainment was created.
Wow.
Yeah. And that was in late 2011, early 2012. So we decided to, call back the Fairmont a few days later and was like, you know what, if you guys are willing to take a chance on us, we're willing to do this for you guys. Like, not like, thank you in a way, like for being like, for presenting this to us, because now all of a sudden we've had a time to think about it and put some like real things together for you to present. And let's take you on as like our very first client where they wanted the music every day. So we were basically just thrown into it. And
it just worked out to be like the perfect thing for us because like Nadia is the perfect like relationship builder, really good inside marketing side of things. And I know music inside out. I've been playing music in venues like my whole life. I know sound. I know how to build relationships with musicians really well. I speak the language, as you would say. Like, and so I think together, like people tend to trust like what I say too because of I can show them like what I can do in a place like personally. So I gain a lot of trust from people because
you're playing physically in the
skills,
room as
like
well.
Personally playing it's become a really like trusted source for a lot of companies as well as like bride and grooms and people having parties and things, and it's been an awesome
journey.
It's an amazing start. Beginning with the Fairmont, like come on, right? That's the best
Perfect
opportunity.
First client. Sometimes you just got to get thrown into something like, you put out all this time. Like we were really searching that summer hard. Like Colin applied, we wrote so many different resumes and applied to so many different places. And sometimes you go searching so far into something and you're like, the answer is like right in front of you, or sometimes there's like a door that you just need to like, it'll come, like it'll showcase. And sometimes you can take that opportunity or just keep looking past it. And I think that was something for us that it presented itself and we could have been like, oh, sorry, like we don't do that. And like moved on and, or in this case, we just kind of acted upon it. And it was one of the best things we've ever done.
Awesome. So working together, it's not always easy for some couples, but how do you guys make that work? I'm sure it's not always perfect. I'm sure you guys have, talks you guys have to have and have to keep a balance, but how did you guys find that right balance of working together?
Yeah, I think like I'll start on like from my experience and then think that like for like we came together and then it quickly became like a partnership, more like a teamwork kind of thing in regards to like hey, like you play music, oh, I'll help you plan the show. And like we kind of went into this like teamwork thing together. Like we planned shows and tours and, he was helping me with some of the creative stuff that I was doing for projects and stuff. So we kind of had a start from the very beginning as like this, I wouldn't call it work because like helping each other through our,
anyway, like it wasn't like we both had our own like
business
together, but we both kind of had our own separate businesses, but we would like just kind of help each other like in a way where like I have some skills like graphic stuff or like building a website, like I can help you with that, or maybe and she had some like great like ideas for marketing or like just direction in my career. So it was like straight, and that was like very early on in our relationship.
Even just like going, even just like dating, it was like he would come up with some things and I would come up with the other things, and so it kind of felt like a teamwork right from the beginning. Like, and I think too, we have such different skills. Like, we like one like sees this way and the other one sees that way, but they're so opposite that almost like they complement each other really well. So I think, and then we started so early, just naturally and organically, like recommending each other through like when I was doing hair and he was doing music, we would recommend each other. So we were often like working together anyways and putting together those contracts and invoices. And also just like, so it, from the beginning, it kind of started as like a teamwork thing. Yeah. It wasn't really like we were separated. So it just turned our life into that, like very naturally. It was like, okay, this is just the way that our relationship is. And I think sometimes it doesn't work for everyone, like where you spend all your time together. But for us, it was like, we didn't really enjoy spending time apart. Like we just loved what we did, but we also loved doing it together. And then we also had such strong skills that we were helping each other with. So it was kind of just this like, yeah, win-win on every single way. So, so that's kind of, I think, what helped from the early part of it to being like, hey, we can start this business together, because we had so much kind of experience, not in necessarily an exact business, but almost like as like a day-to-day life. We kind of knew what it was like. And then once you get into business and as we're growing like 6 years later and, you know, you start involving employees and like, you know, different things like that, it definitely gets, there's pros and cons to like so many different things. But definitely the pros definitely outweighs the cons. So I think you just have to be very mindful of like, okay, let's not get too caught up in like the day to day that all of a sudden you've lost the, like, you know, the partnership that was there from the very beginning.
Yeah, just really keeping in mind that like without the connection, there is no business. Like without, like for us, like it wouldn't be like if we like somehow lost our connection, we got divorced, like that would be like we'd
probably lose that. Yeah,
like without that connection first, like the business comes second, right? It's always like, and just being mindful of that all the time and trying to, you know.
We're still trying to figure it all out now, because as we get really like it's very busy for us right now, and it's stressful, especially like with, you know, bringing out a new baby and like it's summertime, and so we're trying to figure out like what are different ways to kind of present the balance of like the business and life, especially with how busy we are. And again, we're not no people; we just say yes to everything. So we could. You know, we don't want to say no to every like people that come through. We just say yes, yes, yes. And then we just kind of figure it out. So I think it's more about staying mindful is the biggest thing for us.
Do you guys have like clear responsibilities that you focus on and he focuses on, so that you're not always kind of
definitely
that was a huge thing in the beginning too. Like it's like in the beginning, it was just like we just kind of like
one email would come through, and then we would be like, okay, so like let's write this out together. Okay, no, I'll do it, and then you reread it, and then okay, no, and then when another email would come through, like I'll take this one, or you got it, and it was just like, okay, we need to figure out our paths, because this is not really working as more and more emails come through.
Yeah.
So I think that was a huge learning curve, definitely. So yes, to answer your question, in the beginning we did not have that. But we do now. And again, like, because we support each other on different things and it's teamwork, we'll always kind of have like voices on each other's projects and side of things, and we'll ask each other for help. But we definitely have like, okay, these are my skills and this is like what I do really well and can focus on. And these are Colin's skills and this is what he can focus on. And then the things that are kind of, you know, like vision, like if something's more of an idea or visionary, like we'll kind of come together and create that together as well. So,
gotcha.
Yeah.
I like that. That's good. I like having clear set responsibilities of what you need to focus on as well, because then it's just a lot easier, I find.
Yeah. And I think too, it's like really it's easier on the clients and the artists. Like now we have, you know, over 80 artists as part of our team, and we have employees, and, you know, we have a bunch of venues. And so it's like, do they call? Are they calling like one, like, who should they talk to? And that's an important
particular thing.
Exactly. And now they know.
And that's like, when you're dealing with like so many people at once, like if you don't have that like separation of things, then like it's just such wasted time. Like if someone's like emailing you for something that, oh, you know, you should be talking to Nadia about this, or if it's a clear understanding on who to contact about certain things, then like it's just a way more efficient machine that works.
Yeah.
But
Awesome. Love that. Let's talk about this whole work-life balance, because being entrepreneurs, obviously, it's hard to shut off work because you're always just wanting to work on it. It's your baby. It's your
it's our first
of your babies. It's your firstborn. There you go.
It was really our secondborn.
How do you guys make sure that you kind of shut off at whatever point and focus on you guys and make sure that you're focusing on your child as well? You know, what are your tips or your tricks that you guys have learned to make sure that you have that balance?
Yeah. The baby Colin is brand new.
He's brand
He's
new.
been around a month now. So we're still figuring out that side of things, I think. Like, but we definitely, like, I mean, leading up to it, obviously you have 9 months to plan. And like, we've definitely kind of tried to put into place as many things like during that time that we could. Like, so first off, the first thing when we were thinking about having kids was like, we're going to need an employee, and we're going to get part-time employees for a while. And then, okay, now we're going to need a full-time employee. It's way bigger investment for us, but like, we're going to need this like down the line, especially like with a baby coming in, Nadia having some time off.
Even just like labor and delivery. It's like, one of our clients said, I know you're going to be the one in labor on the emails, like, answering. And I was like, yeah, that would be me. But at the same time, like, you don't want to do that. So, and like Colin obviously wants to be there present the whole time. So it's like having that help, especially during this time. And then, we can balance out the rest. But so the employee was definitely one of the biggest things that we wanted to do.
And then I think like establishing like hours like of and like scheduling days off for family time is huge for us. Like it's really it still is kind of pretty difficult because like as a musician as well, a working musician, we get like a lot of bookings and stuff come in like last minute, like that are really great opportunities. Like, so it's like if that comes in on like a day that I've got booked up with family, it's like being pretty strict to that and saying like, or if it is such a great opportunity, rescheduling your week and being like, okay, I have to take that Sunday gig. We usually have Sundays off with family.
So yeah, we do a Sunday fun day.
We travel Wednesday off.
We tried to create Sunday fun day a while ago.
Yeah, that was Sunday fun day was like something that we put together where we were like, okay, every Sunday.
If we're going to work every day, let's just have Sunday fun day at least together. So
we plan some adventures and like, like especially now with Kaleo, like it's even more.
Yeah.
More fun.
I think too, also like separating where you work. So for us, like we don't have an office. We do work on location because we're also like traveling a lot with the business. And we love for personal and for leisure. And the best thing about like one of the biggest reasons like why we started as well is that we can take our business on the road and we want to travel a lot is we spend time like 4 months out of the year, normally to like a couple months in the winter, in the fall when it's a bit slower season, and also like in the like early spring, kind of winter, end of winter. So there's a few months where we know that like aren't as crazy where we can actually, leave and take our business on the road and work from there. So we've done it a few years and bought like multiple times in Bali, and that's kind of our happy place. So it's about finding, a place that brings you that much joy where you can work as well, but also when you're done your day that you're working there as well, at 5 o'clock you're done, or you can surf in the morning, do a yoga class, and then be together after. It's like making sure that you can work really hard, but also create that playtime and make that playtime together. And in separating, if we are at home in our home office, like making sure that the office is like one room. So we try to be like, hey, let's have our conversations in there, and like let's set up the office in there and not bring it on the couch or that kind of stuff. So I think separating that was a huge help and tip that we can kind of give out as well.
Calling out each other is a big one too, like because it's easy to just kind of sit down at the dinner table and just start to talk about, everyone, like from what I imagine, like most couples will talk about how their day was, like at work or whatever. But then it's not like if we do that, then it's like that would be like all day we'd be talking about how our day was together. So it's like we sit down at dinner table, we try to like talk about something else. So someone starts to bring up something about work, it's like, remember, this is not that time. It's not time for that. And like if we call out and like let each other know to remind ourselves of that, that's huge too. Yeah. Without getting like angry at the other person doing it, but just reminding them like, that's not what we do. We like that place in that room is our office, and we can talk about that tomorrow at 9 o'clock. But how about we talk about how great the Canucks are playing? Something
where our next trip will be.
I like that. So I want to talk about babies. So you have this new baby.
You can probably hear him.
Love the baby sounds. How do you guys prepare for having a child? Like, did you guys come across like new things that you weren't kind of thinking would happen? Like, did you guys have to adjust as a couple to have this new baby? Like, what's changed in your relationship now that you have a new child?
It's so new. It's hard to like, I think if you asked us in like 2 months, we'd have so many different things to say. But I think, so right now, like he's a month old, so his focus is just like eating and
staying alive.
Nadia, yeah. So like after
keeping him healthy
after labor, I feel like my responsibility is like kind of helping Nadia carry stuff. Like she's not going to like pick up too much weight right now. Like I try to like keep the house as clean as possible, because like if she's not feeding, then she's sleeping, and like I'm pretty good at like putting the baby to sleep. So that's kind of been my responsibility. And really as a mother, I think Nadia does like everything else. Like it's, at the moment, it's just,
I think it's so like, new that, I think like, it definitely changed lives completely. Like it's a different lifestyle, but it's like, it's a new lifestyle all of a sudden, and you just kind of make it work. Like we've never like planned or like we're not big. It's funny. We're really big planners in our business, but in our regular life, we're not so much the biggest planners. Like we'll be like, hey, you want to go there tomorrow? Yeah, let's look at a flight. Or do you want to do that? We call it the flexi plan. So like we have like goals and like, things we want to do within the year, the months or the days or the weeks, but not necessarily is it like this day at this time that we're going to do it. So it was kind of like that with babies too. We were like, you know what? Like we have a house, we have a business, we have a great relationship. Let's just, see whatever, when God wants to put it there for us, let's do it. And then we'll just kind of live life. And so all of a sudden it was like, oh my God, we're pregnant. And so of course he plans it right for summer. So the busiest season we have. And I think like when those, when that kind of comes, it's like, okay, great. So we have this like, not challenge, but we have this like busy time and we're just going to kind of roll with it. So we've just kind of been taking it day by day and just trying to keep him healthy and happy, and then figuring it out as it goes along. So working around
really great support.
Support is a huge help. Family and
I'd love to answer that question
a little bit more.
And so we have like a bit more clear understanding of like how everything's going to kind of play out. But
how do you guys make sure that you guys take time for yourselves individually? Because you do have a lot going on. So you have your relationship, you have your business, now you have a newborn baby. So that can get quite overwhelming. So taking that time to nurture your own self is very important. So how do you guys do that?
I think for us, it's like scheduling that time off is a big thing, just because our whole life as like entrepreneurs is like, especially being creative entrepreneurs, it's all around like scheduling. Like I got to schedule in, like I get booked like a year in advance for performing at weddings and events, festivals. So like I really have to like make sure my time is like is scheduled out. So leaving space for the miracles was something that I heard on a podcast once. I'm sure if you Google that, you can find who said that. But I really try to live like that, where we guarantee like this weekend off, or we're going to have like this week of summer is booked off for personal family time. I think doing that really helps us like look forward to something as well. Like, and then when it gets like when your busy time is summer and like it's just stacking on top of each other, you can always look forward to that like vacation almost, or that weekend off. So it's also something really good to look forward to, and like puts like a really good like mindset in your mind about it too. And
I think keeping like again, mindful is like always coming up in this podcast, but again, just being mindful of like the passion projects that you want to have outside of your business. And so we both like have things that we really love to do outside of the business. So Colin loves to surf, and like I love yoga, and that's why Bali is like a happy place for us. But also like we love being at the beach, and I love personal development. So making time to put those into our life. So, and being able to kind of create them together. So, there was a personal development business conference that I really wanted to go to, and it happened to be in Bali. And Colin was like, well, I want to surf there anyway, so I'm going to do a surf camp. So we did that. And like, I did the week of yoga and wellness and development week, and Colin did like the surfing week. So it was like making sure that we take time for like our passion projects as like individually as well, and but being able to do them together as well.
That's awesome. You guys both went away to Bali, but you did your own things that you guys were passionate about, but you're still together.
Yeah, so
which is nice.
Yeah. So we did a week like apart, which was kind of like
I drive my scooter over.
Yeah, he was like, I'm gonna come say goodnight, and I was like, oh, it's like school camp when like the boys have to sleep in one and the girl has to sleep like the other one, but we're like, we allowed one kiss goodnight, and then it was kind of cute. But yeah, we hadn't been apart for so long, and it was like so like great to be apart for that long, because all of a sudden you're like, oh my god, I just miss you so much, like that much more. So yeah, we both had an incredible week like on our own. So yeah, you grow individually but also together, and that was an amazing week. So then after that week we got to spend a week together. So
that's nice.
Yeah, so keeping mindful of like the passion projects and making sure that you're supportive. I think like that's the biggest thing, is like we want to support each other on things, like anything we want to do, regardless of whether it's work or a passion project. I think keeping that support regardless of, is it a work or is it just a fun thing? And I think we do a pretty good job of that part.
Awesome. So for those that go through difficult times in marriages, because I think every marriage has those rocky points, have you guys ever experienced any struggles, and how did you guys get through it so that people can learn from your experience and maybe apply those tips in their lives?
Definitely. Like I'd love to meet someone if they haven't gone through any challenges in any life. Yeah. It's like, well, give me your tips then. If I were to say some things, it would be like, we listen to a lot of podcasts actually. Like, we listen to a lot of, like, if we're driving to Whistler and there's a 2 hour, we're like, oh, like, let's listen to this podcast. And some could be on like business, some could be on marriage, some could be on, life. Like you were speaking about Miracle One or faith and sweet. Yeah.
Yeah. I think
and that brought us,
like really like communicating to each other like a lot. I feel like just like trying to like let each other know if there's anything that ever comes up. It's like feeling like it's a conflict, to never to let anything kind of like boil over to the next day, or never leave anything unsaid that's gonna kind of like manifest, twist, and make things different in your head up without talking about it. I think it's like a huge thing that we try to do. Like is really just like address any concerns like as soon as they happen.
And like using resources that are out there, or like talking to people and support, like not necessarily talking to people about your issues or anything, but just like we did like a couples weekend once, which was really fun. And it was a mix of like business, husband and wife, people that do business together, but also one was like on finance and the other one was on like communication. The other one was on like a few different workshops. So it's like, if, we're all like, you can always learn like in anything. Like, so yeah, we've done that workshop, which was a really good one.
That sounds really interesting. I like that. There's always so much you can learn, right? When you're working with your spouse and being an entrepreneur, and there's so many hats that you have to wear, and that's awesome that you guys attended that together. What tips, finally, like in the end, would you have that you think are the most important for couples in their marriage, working together to get through the day-to-day?
Yeah, I would say like, just kind of like summarizing kind of everything we kind of chatted about. I think like making sure you keep time for each other, and like making sure you schedule that in your calendars, your busy schedules. Like make sure you kind of leave space for the miracles or the time together. Being like really
supportive, I think, is a big one. Like making sure that it's like a natural and organic kind of thing that's put on, and not just like, oh, let's start this together because like we want money or we want this. Like making sure that it comes from within, like from the heart and from a place of passion, and like
a natural support for each other rather than like, I want to put together this business plan because I want you to be my partner to create this money or whatever. Like, it's nothing to do with that. Like putting it aside and just being like, okay, this is something I love to do. And like, is it something we can do together, and making sure that it's just coming from the right place. I think that is, yeah.
Yeah. Communicating to one another, like whenever any kind of concerns, things come up, like just kind of getting everything off your chest, like the moment it happens. And like, I find that with anything, even like in our business relationships, I just feel like, working with like employees or artists and things, like if there's anything like that comes up, it's like you don't want to leave like too long between like when something happens to when you start to talk about it, because everyone has different thoughts, and like if things are left in their mind for too long, they can get misinterpreted or distorted, and like you just feel like just having like that open communication, especially in relationships, is like has been really key for us.
Yeah, and being open to opportunities that present itself. So maybe, whatever that looks like, just making sure that you're keeping your options like open, whether it's, another avenue of the business or something that may be right in front of your eyes that you don't know. If, for people struggling to find what it is that they want to start, it's like sometimes just like taking a step back and like it might just be right there.
A lot of people get kind of tunnel vision.
Especially with social media and comparison and everything that's kind of out there right now. It's like people feel like, there's competition and, I need to do something. But sometimes, and what is it going to be? It's like, sometimes it's right just at your fingertips, and just taking time to like aside and like kind of thinking like, okay, what is it that, makes me happy, and what is it that I want to do? And you might be able to find it just from that.
You definitely want to be doing something that you love and you're passionate about, because you're going to hate it in the end if you don't.
Yeah. I'm just being grateful just about things you do have in fun, and just always kind of like reflecting on it every day, and kind of like, putting that positive energy like into every day. I think is like another huge thing. But
it's not going to be
keep focusing
roses
on the pros.
every day.
Like keep focusing on the pros of something, putting good vibes into something, then it will change the way your mind kind of works and push you in the right direction.
Positive attracts positive.
Right? Yes, exactly. I strongly believe in the law of attraction.
Yes, definitely. I love those.
Yes.
Let's talk about your business.
Yeah.
I want to know more about kind of the services that you offer. So I know that you have musicians, so it's an entertainment group. But what exactly does that entail?
Yeah. So we provide live music and DJs for basically anyone who needs live music or DJ. So that could be weddings and corporate events, special events, barbecues, backyard parties, things like that. The other side is a venue management. So we do full venue management programs for hotels, restaurants, breweries, and venues. So we put together like all their music programs. And we also have a management team, like we do management for the artists as well. So we have exclusive artists and non-exclusive artists. We have a large roster. And we manage a small handful of musicians, and we take care of like all of their stuff. And then the others we do all the bookings for. So that's kind of like in a nutshell of that. Do you want to add on?
That's pretty much it in a nutshell.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot more than what I thought, to be honest. That's crazy what you guys have created.
We're really excited about it.
Yeah, we're just so happy to be able to work in like with such a cool community of like artists in Vancouver, and there's a lot of like just really great business owners that we work with, and we love what we do.
Yeah, and being a part of the community is like a huge thing that we try and kind of like. We do a lot of charity events. We do a lot of collaborations. We do a lot of like community kind of festivals and stuff. And that's a huge part of like, for us, again, we started because we love music and we're artists ourselves. And all of a sudden it was like, how do we get the word out to more people that want this music at their weddings? And they don't even know that they can have them. Like sometimes you're sitting at a hotel bar and you're like, I love this musician. You have no idea they can come to your wedding and play your favorite song.
down the aisle. And how much more memorable is that than a DJ, like an iPod, right? Than just like a playlist, I was going to say.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's so much more memorable than that. And also being a part of these charity events and community events just brings people together. I don't know if you've been to, you know, a movie without music, or if you've kind of been to a party without, you know, music as well. But we always feel, yeah, that's what we feel. We're like, you know, you kind of need the music to make it really memorable. And so anyone who needs live music can come to us. We have many different styles and genres. So we have solos, duos, dance bands, classical music. We have mariachi bands. We have any type of music that you need. And if we don't have it, we'll go out and find it. But we haven't came across that yet. So we're in for the challenge. And yeah, that's a huge.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome. I love it. So if anybody wants to know more about you, where can they find you? So like your social medias, your website.
Yeah, so the company is called Musos Entertainment, obviously. So our website is www.musosent.com. And then all of our socials are at Musos. We do a lot of Instagram.
We need to
Facebook.
We need to get
mostly
better at Instagram, but you know,
mostly Instagram is where we kind of spend most of the
energy. You have a lot on your plate, so.
We love Instagram to like kind of communicate with people and share some photos, but we're going to work on sharing more.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Nadia and Colin, for taking the time to share your love story with us, but for also sharing what you've learned as a couple, bringing a new baby into your lives, and how you balance the demands of a business, a relationship, family, and self-care.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
I'm Jessica, and thanks for tuning in today to Love Unplugged, the podcast. If there are any questions or topics you'd love answered on the show, head on over to revueblanc.com and share your request with me. If you haven't yet, go to iTunes and subscribe, rate, and review this podcast and share it with a loved one. Your feedback means the world to me, and the community we've created is what fuels our discussions here. After all, this is all for you. Join me next time for another Unplugged conversation.